Hi guys, welcome back to the 411 Mamas. I'm sorry I've been MIA for a little while. My kids and myself were sick all last week and we're finally getting over it this week. So I'm glad to be finally back doing a video for you all. So today's topic is some tips and tricks for going out with 2 or more kids alone. So for instance, if you're a stay-at-home mom and you need to run errands throughout the day, grocery, or just picking up anything that you need for the house. This is just some things that have helped me, and I hope that they help you. So obviously this will vary depending if you live in a suburban setting or a city, or for instance if you live in a house or a condo, apartment, high story, first, second level, or whatever. I know it would be for other people it would be completely different from probably how I will mention some things. So just have that in mind with the things that I mentioned. This is just from my experience. Okay, so these are my tips for before leaving the house, or in preparation before leaving the house. Honestly, I've learned that the best way to have a stressful free outing with all of them is to time it around their naps. Because if one of them is cranky, it can just ruin or make or break the whole trip pretty much. So I try my best to time it around their nap. So to prevent any meltdowns in public, I try to bring them first thing in the morning or possibly after they've had their nap for the day. So that's what I find that has been so helpful to me. I pretty much learned this the hard way because I had a few instances where we've had major meltdowns out in public, and it just became very overwhelming. So I had to kind of figure out the best way possible to have a stress-free outing. So of course, before you leave the house, you always want to make sure that your diaper bag is fully stocked. So depending on the ages of your children, if you have a small infant, so for my son I always carry diapers and wipes for him, and for the older kids I might have some snacks or some drinks handy with me. Even if we're just going out for a run to Target or Walmart, for instance, I always try to have those essentials with me. Even if I find most times I don't even bring the bag with me inside the store, I just want to have it just in case. So always make sure before you leave that you have your bags fully stocked. Every time before we leave, I always let the kids pick one toy to carry with them in the car. So it kind of gets them excited to pick out a toy for themselves to bring and to have something to play with in the car. And most times they interchange the toys between each other. Sometimes I'll have some toys that are already in the car, so they know that those are already there. So they just get excited to bring something different with them on the trip or the errand. Just make sure that your car is all set with all the car seats and strollers. Maybe for some people the car seats and strollers never leave your car. For us, we have to switch the car seats between the cars most times, but I know some people have 2 sets of car seats or whatnot. But for ourselves, we just have 1 car seat per kid, and we have a few strollers, but always make sure, I always try to make sure ahead of time. My husband usually will do this. He'll if he knows we're going out, he'll have the car pretty much set up and ready for us to go if we're going out for the day. Being that it's winter here now, when I do bring them out and it's really cold outside and I have no choice but to bring them all out, I'll always try to warm up the car ahead of time. Some people have, if you're lucky enough to have those remote starters on your car or whatnot, but we don't have that. So I always try to warm up the car before I bring the kids in. And this is a tip that's great, I think, for when your infant gets a little bit bigger. So for myself, when my son was still using the carrier, it was always hard trying to lug the carrier into the car plus have the 2 little toddlers by my side. But I mean, you just have to do what you have to do, right? So I just bared through it for ever many months that was. And when he got big enough, and this just was perfect because it was during summer, when he got big enough, I was able to just leave the carrier in the car and just carry him and buckle him up in the car with the carrier in the car. But while they're still small, for myself, I always like to, you know, buckle him ahead of time in the carrier in the house and just have to lug the heavy carrier and, you know, lock it in the base, you know, for the car seat. So just a tip, when they are big enough that you can just, you know, carry them around, you feel comfortable enough, you know, just leave the carrier in the car and just carry your infant or your baby to buckle them up in the car, especially if it's, you know, warmer or milder weather. So that's just a tip that I picked up along the way, and it helps save your pain in your back, I think. And this tip is such an important tip, especially if your kids are already potty trained or if they're in the process of being potty trained. And I mentioned this in my potty training tips and tricks video that I have on my main channel, to always make sure to let your kids go to the potty right before you leave. Not like after they get ready and dressed and you have like 10, 15, 20 minutes to spare before you even leave the house. I let them do it like right before we're headed out the door. That way, 2 minutes into leaving the driveway, they're not saying, oh, I gotta go potty again, because that's happened to me a few times. So I found that when we do it like right before we leave the door, you know, we're pretty much good to go, and we can take a trip out to Target or whatnot and make it back home before they even have to use the potty again. A great thing to do is to give the older siblings some type of responsibility that would help you in the long run, especially if it's something that they will do on the regular. For instance, my stepdaughter, when my eldest Emmeline was still a baby, my stepdaughter would always carry, or offer even to carry, the diaper bag for me, or maybe if I had so many things in my hands, she would even offer to carry my purse, or for now, Emmeline, she would hold Malia's hand, you know, walking out the front porch. So it's just a great thing to give them some type of responsibility to help you, and, you know, pretty much it makes everybody work as a team, you know, to get out the door more smoothly. So that's something that has been such a big help, especially now that I have 3 little ones. It's just so cute to see Emmeline will even carry her brother's toy and hold Malia's hand, you know, while we're walking out the door and before we, you know, get buckled and strapped up in their car seats. Always for myself, when we're about to go into the car, I always open the door and let the older kids in first, because obviously it will take, you know, more time, or it does take more time for me to strap in the baby, even when he was still little in the carrier, and even now, you know, because sometimes he won't want to sit still and he'll, you know, move around, and I have to strap him right away. So I always make it a priority to let the girls go into the car first and, you know, get seated into their car seat. I'll buckle the baby, and then the girls I will do after I have him all strapped up. So that has been such a big help to me. Another thing is to always have your car stocked up with maybe some CDs or DVDs, or, you know, books, or, you know, extra toys like I mentioned earlier, because depending on what kind of ride that you have or where you're going, you never know, even if you're just going nearby, you never know if you're going to hit some unexpected traffic. So, you know, I've always found that having maybe their favorite song or DVD, you know, just handy and ready, you know, has been a great distraction for them, so that I can concentrate on getting us where we need to go, and they're, you know, nice and happy and situated in the car. So Dylan woke up from his nap. Say hi. Hey, Bubba. He's still not feeling really well. Okay, Mommy will finish. Try to finish as fast as I can. Where did I leave off? Okay, another thing that would be great is to let the older kids help with whatever your to-do list is. So if you have a list of items that you need to buy at a particular store, like Emmeline, she's so great. She likes to make, she makes a mental list in her head. It's so funny because I always have a list on me on my phone of the things I need to do And I'll always run it down with her when we're in the car. I'll say, okay, first we're gonna go to the bank, and then we're gonna go to Target, and then we're gonna go here. And she'll always remember that for some reason. Like, okay, mommy, we're going here next. Or if we're in a store, I'll say, okay, help mommy remember that we need to buy plates and milk and paper towels, something like that. And she'll make a mental note of it, and she'll even remind me. She'll say, mommy, we have to get paper towels. Like, oh yeah, I forgot. So she is such a big girl that way. So also, if you have older kids that can read and write or are starting to learn to read and write, I did this with my stepdaughter. She would write the list for me. She would practice like spelling out, for instance, milk or eggs or whatnot. So she would write the list herself and hold it with her when we would go to the store and just check off and cross off things as we go. So that's a great thing to do if your kids are older and that they do read and write. So like I said in the beginning, this will completely vary depending on your location and where you live. So, but this is some things that just have helped me, and I hope that they have helped you guys. And if you have some of your own tips and tricks and suggestions for me or for other mothers that are watching the 411 Mamas, please leave them in the comments down below. And as always, thank you for watching. And we are so excited for the amount of audition responses that we have received so far. And we have about, what's today say? It's until next week, the 30th. For anybody that's still interested to audition, you still have time to get your video responses in. You guys are making it entirely too hard for us to choose. I honestly don't know how we are going to make our decision, but we're going to do the best that we can. And thank you for everybody that has responded so far, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.